Good morning, Monster Energy Supercross fans. You guys are watching round 17, our last one of the season, virtual track walk presented by Dunlop motorcycle tires. And let me tell you guys, this is, a great track to crown three champions on. But I'm going to bring in Brock Glover. How you doing, Brock?
Oh, great, man. I love the layout of this track. I hate to talk bad about an old track, but I like this a lot better than last Saturday's.
Yeah, so we're walking the start right now, and it is the full length of this stadium. So these riders are going to be absolutely ripping down this start straight. And there's a little new obstacle, we'll go over, in the middle of our track walk, but a couple, new obstacles that Dirtworks was testing out, seeing how it works through press day yesterday and racing today. But it's going to be interesting to kind of show you guys those things, but also a little bit to get into race day live is going to be 4 p.m. Eastern, and Peacock and NBC SN is going to be 10 p.m. Eastern as well. So make sure you guys catch those. Make sure you guys see our champions for the 2021 Monster Energy Supercross season, because we'll be crowning some champions here tonight. But we're going through the first corner, and we're coming up on the longest rhythm section that you guys see throughout this track. It's kind of on the shorter side, but it is quite technical.
Yeah, I like that first corner. It's, like I said, it's fast, it's wide. I mean, inside, all that really is prohibiting guys from cutting too far inside is just the backside of a berm there. And, sets up for a nice wide first corner so everybody can get through cleanly. We don't want any championship contenders on the ground there. And then, like you mentioned, right into a tricky little rhythm section.
Yeah, we're kind of starting off. I don't really know the exact name for that first obstacle, but it kind of steps up, and then you can either jump it over like a step up, or you can launch over the whole thing and kind of bump off and double in. And as we can see, we can either land in this transition that we're in right now and triple onto this tabletop, or you can triple and go land right before this tabletop and then quad onto that far tabletop that Ken Roxanne, Malcolm Stewart, and Eli Tomac got down. But it's a kind of a stretch, especially with that lip super laid down right now. It's pretty technical, and I don't think the 250 guys are going to have enough horsepower in this high altitude to get on top of this tabletop that we're on now. But it's going to be a tricky rhythm section, not as quite as tricky as round 16 rhythm section going the other way, but it's going to be pretty technical, and it's going to be interesting to see who can, hit their marks in that rhythm section.
Yeah, it's going to be you got to be set up perfectly each time to do it. And mentioned it's going to be difficult for the 250s to get that quad at the end. But the ground here at Salt Lake City is a little bit crumbly, I would have to say. It's not really hard packed adobe like we see in Southern California or we saw in Atlanta in some places. And also, this track has a lot of 180 corners, which I like. Long rhythm sections with 180s back to another long rhythm section with another 180. So I just think it presents itself for good racing and lots of good passing.
Yeah, and then let's go back to the 180 segment, because that's one of the first things that I noticed about this track. Is there any different tires per se that the riders go to when they see these bull corners or they see this hard pack setup that they're usually kind of not going to run at other Supercross tracks?
Well, once in a while, I mean, at this point right now, obviously round 17 of 17 races, everybody's kind of set with their favorite tires. You don't see a whole lot of switching up. We're not seeing a lot of extra grooves in the track where somebody's going to go, oh, this kind of rutted up. I think I need a little narrower tire so it doesn't catch the edge. We don't have a whole lot of that at Salt Lake. But the one thing we have seen once in a while is when the track gets a little bit hard packed, we kiddingly call them psychological grooves, but some of the guys want to groove their tire a little bit. They think it maybe gives a little extra bite. Again, I tend to think they're more psychological than actually functioning, but you're not going to argue with the Dunlop crew is not going to argue with the riders and say, oh, you can't do that. So we do see a few riders cut a few grooves in the knobs here and there.
Yeah, no, and I've been seeing more and more about that. And then I actually wanted to, ask you a tire question. What's the difference between like the riders running a 120 to a 110 on the 250Fs?
Well, we haven't seen years past. We saw a lot of the riders, especially the blue bikes running, and even some of the pro circuit, the green bikes. some of those Kawasaki's were running the 120 size rear tires on their bike, which was kind of, you think it's counterintuitive to what you would think for a smaller bore bike, but they just felt like it almost added a little extra flywheel to the bike, a little more extra weight, a little more tire on the ground, better traction. So this year it hasn't been the case. Almost all 250 riders are running the 110/90, but in the 450 class, we do have two different sizes of the 120. It's not really the width size, it's the aspect ratio. So you either have a 120/80, that's Eli Tomac and a couple of the other riders, and then the 120/90, which guys like myself prefer because they have a little taller sidewall and they're a little bit more cushy. But we've also seen some of the really top riders, the Cooper Webbs and riders of that caliber, and Ken Roxon running the 120/90 often. And so, it's just a little bit more tire on the ground, a little bit more sidewall, maybe a little more flex and comfort in the whoops.
Yeah, and perfect transition. We're coming up to the Dunlop whoop section right now. We have around 9 whoops here. And, we haven't seen this a lot throughout the season, but we have the finish line double into this whoop section. And this was actually one of my favorite whoop section scenarios, as you would, because you get to jump the jump and then you get to click all the way up to 4th gear and just carry your momentum through these whoops. I know some riders prefer the whoops out of the corners, but I feel like it's a little bit easier to skip whoops because you can get that gearing you right and you're not lugging that bike out of that corner so hard. You have so much momentum going over the finish line double. You're just going to carry it through. So look for those riders to skip that whoop section. I don't think you'll see anybody trying to jump that whoop section because that would have to, you would have to slow down in the beginning in that whoop section to really get in one of those pockets and start tripling. And then right after, we're going into another short little rhythm section. And I talked to the dirt work guys a little bit earlier today, and they were estimating this track to be in the 40 to 42 second range. So a pretty quick track, Brock.
That's a lot of laps. You're going to see flirting with the 30 lap mark for the 450s. But you made a great point about the whoops there, Tyler. The fact that, when you're coming in with a lot of momentum, you don't have to worry about jumping them 2, 3 at a time or whatever. You're going to be skipping them because you're carrying momentum. When the whoops are right out of a corner, that's when you tend to see the guys do more of the whoop, jumping rhythm section. And then also if they groove up real bad, they tend to do that. I don't think you're going to see that here. But that little section right there, we're coming out of the right-hander. We're looking back at it here, where it's coming back out onto the starting line. So it's going to be a quick right-hander and then a quick transition to the left to the first corner. I think that's going to be an exciting passing opportunity. So I look to see some good action there.
Yes, no, I think so too. We've seen it in the past. The dirt definitely gets pushed on the edges of the track and it gets super slippery. So no, that is going to be our last virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires for the season. Thank you guys for watching our segment, and we'll be back next year. So thank you guys for watching, and I can't wait to see some racing tonight.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks to everybody for the watch. And I cannot believe 2021 is going, it's in the books. I can't believe it. 17 rounds have flown by.
Oh yeah, crazy. All right, we'll see you guys next year.